The wait is over, Sens fans. Jake Sanderson has signed his NHL entry-level contract. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller with some immediate reaction and analysis. Pilsy, what was your first thought when you read the news?
It's finally Sanders season. Jake Sanderson is a member of the Ottawa Senators. And Ross, obviously, we're excited, but it is a bit of a tease having him injured and signed because if he was healthy, we know DJ Smith confirmed he would be put right into that NHL lineup, and that would have been great to see right away. We're just going to have to wait a little while here, but something we won't have to wait as long for is Jake Sanderson's next contract because according to Cap Friendly, he will burn a year since he signed his contract as a 20-year-old instead of a 19-year-old. So just 2 years until Jake Sanderson is a restricted free agent.
You could see that one way or another. Sure, they have to negotiate sooner, and it's Bartlett Hockey that takes care of Jake Sanderson as his agent, but you could also see it as one less year to prove himself and earn a bigger contract down the road. Where do you stand on that? Would you have preferred it to be down the road? Because I think whether he plays or not, it's worthwhile because you want him to be in Ottawa for the next decade plus. You better get him here acclimated around the guys, around the practice facilities, rehabbing with the Ottawa Senators doctors. There's so many reasons why he needed to get to Ottawa right now. And even though I'm on the side that, try to get that second contract done before the offensive numbers explode, potentially. But that to say, I think it's worthwhile, no matter how you look at it, that he should be here ASAP.
100%. Yeah, this is Jake Sanderson's time. And last year at the end of Nodak's season, heartbreaking way for them to end. The question, wasn't he going to go back to Nodak, unfinished business, or hey, he's probably ready to turn pro? Is he just going to make that move? And I think both of us are on agreement that he made the right decision going back to college, similar to a player he likes the style of game. Cale Makar did a very similar move, and it's paid dividends for him, and I think it's going to pay dividends for Jake Sanderson too. And yeah, I'm with you. Regardless of whether it burns you or not, get Jake Sanderson to Ottawa ASAP, and that's what the Senators did.
It's unfortunate the way his year back for his sophomore season went, though, right? He missed those 2 games with illness in November that I found out at La Quinta Suites in Grand Forks, like 2 hours before I was going to the game. So that was unfortunate in itself. But then he gets hurt again. I'm pulling it up right here. 2 with an injury in December, 6 due to the Olympic Games in February, and then 4 more, the final 4 more, due to an injury stain at the Olympics. And then he comes back, and then he misses another 2 postseason games with a hand injury. So it was a really rough year from that standpoint. But if there's a man I should say a kid. This guy's 20 years old, but a kid who is mature beyond his years and can handle that, I feel like Sanderson's the kind of guy, right? You mentioned it. He's been on with us at Locked On Senators. We have a clip coming up we're going to play. We're also going to talk to Brad Schlossman coming up here, so look for that video a little later on our YouTube page. He, of course, covers North Dakota with the Grand Forks Herald, but he made it very clear that he's an even-keeled guy, right? It doesn't seem like a lot knocks him off his teeter.
Yeah, and I think Jake Sanderson is ready for this step in all aspects, like on the ice, off the ice. We heard Matty Beniers speak highly of him as a leader. And look, Brady and Chabot, they're young leaders here, and they're going to get a little more help from another guy who has leadership qualities in Jake Sanderson. So I think there's so many benefits for him getting here. And even if he's not on the ice practicing, even if he's just on the bench like Chabot and Batherson have been doing at practice, just being around the guys, like you said, it's going to have an amazing impact on everyone.
Brad Schlossman reporting that Sanderson will arrive in Ottawa on Monday, March 28th. So you can expect him in the building when the Nashville Predators come to town on Tuesday. What kind of benefits do you think he can learn from just being at the rink day in and day out over this next month?
Well, Ross, like I just mentioned, another defenseman who is sitting out with a hand injury, Thomas Chabot. I have a sneaking suspicion those two are going to spend a lot of time together. And honestly, just being around, we had Chabot on the show as well. And he's a guy that I think a lot of players in the locker room, a lot of players in the league, young defensemen look up to and model their game after him and try to pick apart different things that Chabot does. And Sanderson's a very similar defenseman to Chabot in the sense of their skating. They're both mobile defensemen. Sure, maybe Sanderson a little more defensively responsible, but seeing how Shabbat can carry the puck up the ice, just knowing he can be there to help mentor him is going to be such a bonus. And it's like we wished Carlson had more time with Shabbat, right? That was a big storyline. They only had, what, half a season, if that.
Yeah.
So there wasn't much time there. So now we're going to get to see Thomas Shabbat's locked up. Sanderson signed to a contract for a couple more years. We're going to see at least a couple years of that mentorship in place here, and that's going to be great.
We're also going to chat with Alex Heinert coming up. So it's a Nodak heavy Sunday. We're coming to you on God's Day because, well, the Savior has arrived. It's Jake Sanderson coming to Ottawa. Now, you might be wondering, what kind of player are the Ottawa Senators getting? So why don't we let Jake tell you who he models his game after? This is courtesy the Locked On Senators podcast from last April when we had Jake on the show.
Kind of guys I love watching are like Miro Heiskanen. He's kind of somebody I like to play like, just the way he skates. It seems like he's floating on the ice. He's so efficient. I love watching Makar as well. Just he's like fancy all the time. He always shines when he's on the ice, when he has the puck, and I think he's very assertive on the power play too. So that's kind of something I'm trying to implement. But for a forward standpoint as well, I love watching McKinnon. He's just a horse out there. He's such a good skater and such a good goal scorer too.
So, Pillsy, those are some pretty lofty comparables. I'm not saying he's going to come in and dominate right away, but there's a very big contributing factor there that all those players have, including Nathan McKinnon, who he mentioned as a forward. They are all explosive skaters, effortless skaters, and they can control the pace of the game. Would you not say that's exactly what the doctor ordered for the way that the Senators decor is constructed right now?
Well, DJ Smith always talks about it. He wants puck-moving defensemen, and Brandstrom and Victor Mete were supposed to be those guys, but they're not quite living up to the task here. Jake Sanderson is a guy that can do that, and a lot of his kind of knocks were, okay, sure, he's good defensively, he's a good skater, but not a lot of offensive upside. Well, Jake Sanderson put that to rest pretty damn quickly, Ross, because in his first year at Nodak, 2 goals all season. You know how long it took him to get 2 goals this year?
No.
Two games.
Oh
in 2 games, he had a goal and assist in both of his first games in the season. So that was pretty clear that, hey, he's coming to send a message, and he's really improved. And I'm so excited to see what he can do at an NHL level.
Are you surprised that he's the final top 10 draft pick from 2020 to sign his NHL contract? They've actually all already played NHL games, as few as 2 in the case of Jack Quinn and Marco Rossi, a couple 67s. Alex Holtz has 7. The other guys are all 30 or more. Does that surprise you at all?
It doesn't surprise me because I think we need to look back and remember that Sanderson probably was ready last year, right? Like, I don't think it would have been the best decision, and I think he would tell you that himself. But if he needed to, he could have played in the NHL this year. So he would have been on par with all those guys. And it's not, there's no big deal signing last. There's got a whole long NHL career ahead of them, and that 2020 draft class, those top 10 are some elite players. So I would expect all of them to sign early and have good careers.
Well, Jake Sanderson extended that run, right? Where a defenseman had been drafted in the top 5 all the way back every single year since 2002. Yes, and he was drafted 5th overall. Now, looking back at his time with North Dakota, we'll do that more when it comes to our conversations later in the day with Alex Heinert and Brad Schlossman. Again, look out for the Locked On YouTube page for that. But all that to say, this guy knew what his weakness was and figured out a way to make it a strength. And that was a theme when we were covering the 2020 draft. People said that he was just a good skater. Oh, now he's got great gap control. Then, is he tough enough in front of the net? Now he's clearing guys out. Then it was, does he have offensive upside? Can he run even a second power play unit? And then now he's got 23 points in 18 games. Was that his final tally this year? Clearly showing that offensively he can produce. So whatever you want to doubt Jake Sanderson with next, I'm sure he'll come and just shove it right where the sun don't shine, because that's the way this guy's wired. He's going to come here. We had Tony Ferrari on the show right after the draft, and he said he'd be shocked if Sanderson isn't one day wearing a letter for this Senators team. Now, there's some guys here that deserve that opportunity before. Drake Batherson, Josh Norris come to mind.
But Nick Paul leaving, though, that opens it up a little.
A bit, yeah. I mean, with Shabbat out, they moved that A on defense back to Nick Holden for now. But I think it'll be at least a couple of years here before it's Jake Sanderson, but he's got that natural leadership ability. So who would you like to see him paired with? We're going to probably discuss this ad nauseum through the next month, but is Artem Zub not the perfect partner for him? Do you try to put him in with Travis Hamonic, who we thought might be a guy who's coming in for that kind of mentorship role? Maybe that would be a way to hold him down on the third pair, at least to start. Where do you see him fitting in at his first practice? What do you think DJ Smith's putting him with?
Well, Ross, I heard sources say that Hamonic was supposed to be Clevin's mentor. That's just something I heard through the grapevine.
Yep.
And so I don't think he's going to be paired with Hamonic. He has to be paired with Zub. Like, there's no other option in my mind, because Zub is the perfect guy to help him, not worry too much about his responsibility. He can play offensively while Zub covers for him. There's just so many good benefits playing with Zub that we always talk about. If he's paired with anyone but Zub, I'll be baffled.
Here is the photo that they posted today of Jake Sanderson signing his entry-level contract. He's got the flow, check. He's got the Senators hat from draft night, check. And most notably, Pillsy, no brace, no cast on his hand.
Yes.
And we discussed it wasn't a broken hand. It was a sliced hand from a guy stepping accidentally on his hand. So that's a pretty solid sign to see. And it looks like it's still about a month away, but this is also the type of injury. If Shane Pinto needs a buddy out there while he's doing his injury skates, I'm sure Crooker's out there with him, then I feel like that's a kind of benefit here, is that both Chabot and Sanderson will probably be able to skate sooner than they would if it was a foot, knee, leg, whatever the case may be, where skating would become an issue.
Yeah, exactly. And you can see both hands. It's got to be his right hand, then the back of it that's hurt, because I don't see anything on his left hand there, and it would be a sizable gash. So that's definitely a good sign. And yeah, if you're a guy like, say, Jake Sanderson, whose top kind of ability, or one of them at least, he has so many, is your skating, it's definitely huge that none of that's being hindered by an injury, a leg, knee, ankle, anything like that. So obviously you don't want any injury, but if it's going to be one on the hand that recovers nicely, hopefully, should be all right.
So,
but I'm not a doctor. Brandon Piller, not a doctor. Need to have that disclaimer.
So first it was Jacob Bernard Docker. He spends 3 years at North Dakota. He signs to the Ottawa Senators. Then Shane Pinto spends 2 years at North Dakota. He signs to the Ottawa Senators. Jake Sanderson spends 2 years at North Dakota, signs with the Ottawa Senators. And finally, Tyler Clevin is the lone remaining Nodak Sens. For now, we're going to ask Alex and Brad, specifically Brad, if there are any draft eligibles this year that we should be keeping our eye on. But is this not a little insider info or what here? As we had a reply on Twitter, I would bet Clevin is back next season with North Dakota. And who threw it a like, Pillsy?
Coach Brad Barry, North Dakota head hockey coach. So I think it's social media, who knows, but that's pretty good evidence that likely Clevin will be back if his coach is publicly supporting that. So I think it's the right idea. Yeah, exactly.
Me too. Hope everyone's as fired up as we are. Jake Sanders season is here. And stay tuned to Locked On Senators YouTube page. We got some more bonus coverage coming to you with the Nodak Sen. So stay locked on Senators. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been a little bonus feature. That's why you're subscribed on YouTube. Thanks again. We'll see you soon here on the Locked On Senators podcast.